Hello everyone, my name is Aryak and welcome back. In this part 2 of the database connectivity video, we are going to write this class dbconfig, right? We are going to fill this completely. We are going to write a method and write the SQL queries in this class. And then here in the app class, see, in the last video, we stopped here, right? We went to this phpMyAdmin. Here we created a student table, and here you can see there are two records. And the name of the database is test1. So our ultimate goal for this video is that in this main method, we are going to fetch these two records, and we want to connect to database. We want to write some query, something we have to do for that. And after that, the aim is in this console right here, down below in the console, you need to see these two records. Okay, so that is the goal for this project. For somehow we have to get them from the database into our Java project, and then by running the main method, we want them to be displayed in the console below. So let's get started. So as you can see, I've created an object for service class. Okay, I've spelling is wrong. Okay, yeah, so service. So now I'll ask service class to get all the records. So I'll say get all records. I'll write a method. Okay, this is a method, and let's just leave it like that. And now you can see. Okay, yeah. So just take it inside. Now you can see that you have to create this method, right? So I just create it, and here, as we spoke in the last video, service class is the middleman, right? It's going to talk with dbconfig as well as app. From app, it will take the order, what is to be done, right? The app is the boss, as we spoke in the earlier videos, and service class is going to provide service to app. So whatever app orders it to get, it will somehow get it, and it will interact with this class, and it will get the work done, right? So to interact with dbconfig class, we have created the object here, and using this object, I'll say get all records. Okay, let's keep the method name same. And you can ask me, why are we using the service class as a middleman, and I'll give the answer at the end of the video today. You will understand. Okay, so as you can see, there's no such method, so we'll just create it. Okay, now in this method we need to write some SQL queries to query the database and get the records, right? So let's get started. First of all, we'll just write the query. Okay, string SQL is equal to select star from, and the name of the table is student. So I'll just write this. Okay, we are done. This is the string. This is the SQL query. Now to fire this query, we need a class known as prepared statement. So let's just write prepared statement. Okay, tstmt is equal to we need to connect, right? So the con variable, we have it over here. We have connected that. So I'll say dot, and you can see that you can just pass the SQL query here. So now after you have passed this query, we need to execute it, right? Let's say dot execute. You can see execute, yeah, right, and just pass. Okay, what is going on? Execute. And okay, yeah, there's this method known uh, as the execute the results. Yeah, this is the method, right? I'll tell you, this is the method execute query, and as you can see here, it returns something known as result set, right? We are going to fetch the records, and we want to store it. We want the result, right? It should be stored inside a result set. So let's just create an object of result set. Let's call it as rst. Okay, the instance, and yeah, result set, and just control space, and you can see that this class is imported, right? And now this result set can have one record, it can have 10 records, it can have thousands of records, right? So I'll say while, it's a while loop, rst dot next, till the time it has next records, right? It's just like a while loop till it's not empty. I'll say we want to fetch all the data, right? So I'll just say rst dot get. Okay, now you can see now these 4 lines, what I'm going to write next, 3 lines. You can see this is the table structure. We have 3 things like id, name, and roll number. Id is int, name is string, and this is int as well. So there are 2 ints and 1 string. Okay, so first we'll write get int, and we'll give the name of the column, that is id. Okay, keep it as it is, and we will catch it into another variable. Just keep the name same. Okay, this is the name of the table column, and here this is a plain Java variable. Okay, this corresponds to database, this corresponds to Java. So similarly, just copy this and paste it here, and we want roll number as well, right? Roll number. So roll number, and third was a string, right? It was name. So rst dot, let's say get string. You can just go down here, and you'll see that there's a method called get string, right? And just tell it the name of the attribute, its name, right? So take this, and string name is equal to this. Okay, now we have the 3 attributes. Let's attach it to a student object. Okay, so I'll just write student, s is equal to new student. Okay, now we have the attributes. Let's just set them. We've used this setters, right, earlier. Setters, getters, and setters. This is where the setters come into play. We will just attach the objects, right? So as you can see, I've attached all the 3 objects, and you can have a lot of students, right? This is just for one student what we are doing. This is while inside the while loop, right? Every record will come here, it will be extracted, the values will be extracted, and then after extracting these values, after you've created the student object, let's just put it into an array list, right? So let's just create a list over here. List equal to new. Okay, array list. Yeah, should give a semicolon here. And as you know, on the right side, you don't worry about anything. And so let's just import this. Okay, and the type is student, right? As we have discussed this in the earlier videos. So that's why it's so easy once you understand it. This database connectivity, getting these records is becomes so easy because you've already understood what this is, right? Now, after you have the student objects, let's just add it into the list, right? So I'll say list dot add and s, right? And after all of them are done, right? It's all the students are added into the list. I'll just return this list, right? Return list. Now you can see there's a compilation failure because the return type is void. So just change this over here. Okay. Yeah, so now we are done. Now you can see there are a lot of compilation failures. These are nothing but you have to take care of the the exceptions. As you can see, the exception, if you just give a warning over here, it's clean now. Now one more thing, these are the four variables which you use to declare, you declare these variables for the database, right? First of all, just remove this was the port number, don't need it over here. After the port number, after localhost, this string over here is the name of the database. Okay, so as you can see, it's test1, so let's just change it to test1. We've copied this from the GitHub, right, in the earlier video. So everything looks good now. And here, since yeah, now just surround this with try and catch. Okay, now the same thing from here. We want you mean the list has come here. Let's just catch it in just catch it in a list. Okay, so here I'll write list equal to new. Let's just array list. Right, it's of the type student. We'll import this. Right, so the list is attached, and after this we'll just return the list. Return this list. Right, just do imports and change the return type. Yeah, so from here it is going to be returned to app. So one last time we'll just attach it. List is equal to, and here just specify the type, right? Import this and just cut this. Then just one last import and we are done. And here we just need to print it, right? We've learned this for each loop, so I won't get into the details of this, and just print this quickly. So now I've just written the for each loop over here, so this will print the list for us. Now let's just save this and let's see if everything works. Okay, if everything works properly, then we will have the two students in this console. Okay, so let's just run this. Select this main package and click run. Okay, now you can see there's a null pointer exception, right? Because this con variable is null. Okay, so let's just go to this class, and you should have a bit of debugging knowledge as well. Now what is it saying? It's saying that this variable is null. Okay, for some reason the null point exception and cannot invoke the con is null. Okay, yeah, why is this? Because I've done a very silly mistake. I haven't connected to the database and I'm trying to query it. It's a ridiculous mistake. Just write db connect. Of course you want to connect, right? And here just give a throws declaration. Now immediately you'll see that service class also has a few exceptions, so just surround this. Okay. Let's just clean this up. Okay, it's getting messy. So here I'll write list is equal to db.get records. Same thing I've written. Okay. Save this, and now just surround this with try catch. We are done. You can see there's no compilation failure anywhere, right? So let's just discuss. I know you would have been a bit lost, midway. So let's just give you a quick recap what we did. In fact, what we are doing. Okay, so here you can see this is the main method. Here we want to get all the records from the database. So we are asking service class is like a slave. Okay, this is the master. We are asking the service class that just get us all the records from the database. Okay, service class, you come here. Service class will say I am just a service class, right? I don't have access to database. So which class has access to database? It's dbconfig. So service class will just tell dbconfig that you give me all the records, and then it will just return it to app. Okay, this is the logic. So db.get all records. So it will come in this class. You can see there's this method db get all records, and you can see first it's connecting to the database. Then we've written the SQL query. Now using this prepared statement, we are executing this SQL query. You can see the result. Whatever the result comes, the records which come will be put into this result set. And now we are iterating through the result set, and one by one we are picking up all the fields of the table. You can see here we are attaching it to a student object. We are setting it, right? We are attaching, and then we are adding this to a list. You can see here there's the practical demonstration of usage of array list, right? To pick up records from database, we use array list. And after you've completely filled the list, you can see this is a while loop, so it will go on till all the records are done. So after you're done, we are just returning this list to whom? To service. It comes here, service returns it to app, and you can see here in app you have this over here, and now you're displaying all the entries. This is how this works. Okay, so let's just control save here, and again we'll just run this. And okay, yeah, you can see we got the records, right? These are the records, Aryak and John. This is exactly what we wanted. You can see Aryak with 28 roll number and John with 26. This is our output is proper. but you can see there's a red color message here, and don't worry about this message, it won't affect the output in any way. But as you can see, JVM is our friend, right? And it's telling us that what you're using, the driver which you're using, is deprecated. Now this is one thing you don't have to worry too much, okay? But always this keeps on changing, okay? The drivers, they get updated. You always have new code coming up, the syntax changes and all that. But here it's just try to read what it's telling you. It's saying that this driver is deprecated, and read the next line. It's already registered, and loading of driver is not necessary. Okay, so this is where there's one segment of code which I didn't explain you, and now I will. This four variables, okay? So what are we doing? We want to connect to a database, right? So what's the name of the database? It's running on which machine? The localhost, right? This is the driver. This is the driver which we are using, and JVM is telling us that this driver. Look at these. Look at these two, which I've highlighted. These are the same things. It's saying that this is deprecated. Okay, the new driver class is this. So let's just take what he's saying, and we'll just replace this. Okay, replace. Okay, so I'm using the driver now, which JVM is telling me to use. Okay, and here you can see the db connect method for connecting to the database. We need the driver, and here you can see this class.forName. This is the piece of code which is loading the driver. And if you just read further, it's saying that the driver is automatically registered and manual loading is not required. It's unnecessary. So let's just comment this. So this was the code for loading the driver. We'll just comment it. Okay, and now we've followed what JVM told us, and let's just execute this again. And you can see this time there's no red colored message, and there's the perfect output which was coming previously also. So this is how you do database connectivity in Java. Of course, you can get records from database. You can also send records to the database, and that is pretty much similar. If you want, I can make a video on that also, but it's pretty similar. And here you can see one more thing I want to tell you. This execute query method. You can see I was just lost for a couple of seconds finding this. This is because when it's execute query, right, you have two methods. One is prepared statement dot execute query, and one is prepared statement dot execute. You can see here there's one method. I just okay, it's empty. So you can see there's one method known as execute also. This method is used when the state of the database changes. Okay, you use execute update. That is the method when you are changing the state of the database. Here you're just fetching records, so it's not changing. So this works for you. Result set, you collect all the result from this everything. This everything goes into the result set, and then you from this result set you're picking up attributes one by one. You're attaching them, and then you're putting it in a list, and then sending the list back to service class, which in turn is sending it back to app. So that's all. It's pretty easy, right? And I hope you like this video, and if you do like it, just give it a thumbs up and keep watching. And very quickly we are going to start with the core OOPM concepts which are taught in Java, and I hope you like them as well. So keep watching. Thanks.